Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm trying to lose to DrawFish, an engine that plays the move that brings the evaluation closest to 0-0. Thank you to Malim Maimunche for leaving this idea in a comment. You can also play this bot yourself on iwantcheckmate.com. Let's get started with game number 1. Alright, game number 1 will address the obvious immediately, which is that at the moment approximately 25% of people that play this bot lose, which seems almost impossible considering this is literally Stockfish programmed to play as close to 0-0 as possible. However, this is most likely caused by just resignations, by people who come, play the bot, see that it's funny and working and cool, and look at the stats, and then eventually have something else to do and click the resign button in the bottom right under the board. Now, of course, that will not be us. We will be playing an actual game, so we are going to have to do a very, I think, interesting strategy here, which is that A, we have to gain an advantage. Because obviously if we just play normal chess, then DrawFish will also play very quote-unquote normal chess and trend the evaluation of the position towards a draw. After we gain that advantage, then we can actually force the engine into a position where it has to deliver checkmate. Now, that second step is the one that I'm pretty sketch on whether or not we're going to be able to accomplish, but that's hypothetically how this would work. So the obvious question is, how do we accomplish that first step? How do we gain an advantage? Well, what we can do is we can put ourselves in like critical positions where, for example, bishop to c7 hangs the bishop, but DrawFish will not capture the bishop because it wants us to be even in the position. So if it were to capture, it would have like a -3 advantage at least in favor of black. So instead it moves the queen out of the way because obviously it also doesn't want to lose the queen. If it loses the queen, then that's like a +9 advantage for white. So what does DrawFish do? It moves the queen out of the way. I'll go ahead and retreat the bishop since that was just a for instance, but that is roughly the game plan that we are going to follow. We're going to put our pieces in a super compromised position, and then we are going to capture material that is defended, but forces DrawFish to evaluate if it recaptures versus if it just moves away, which one is closer to 0-0, and hopefully moving away is closer to 0-0 so we can keep the material advantage. I hope you still follow. I realize this is a little bit convoluted, but I promise this does make sense. We'll go ahead and take this knight next. Next step is actually simplify off a decent portion of the position except for the queens. The reason that this is important is because if I do gain a substantial advantage when there are a whole bunch of pieces still hanging around on the board, then there's a very real chance that Stockfish, or rather DrawFish, finds a way to take away my advantage because obviously it's Stockfish. It's going to play much stronger than I ever could. So we're going to try our best to just trade off a whole bunch of pieces. We'll go ahead and continue development. It plays rook to g8, which is quite suspicious. We get pawn to a5. How to continue trading is the question. I want to trade off most pieces except for the queen and the 2 rooks. Reason being that if there are a queen and 2 rooks on the board, then I can find a way to capture a rook or capture a queen, the 2 highest value pieces in the game, besides obviously the king. And then I will have so much advantage that I can force it into a position where it has no choice but to eventually deliver a checkmate. Let's go ahead and just throw these knights onto some outposts. King comes out to f7, which is just horribly suspicious. Rook shuffles over. Let's advance the pawn. No freebies today. The rook shuffles back over. I really need a trade. So maybe knight back to a4. Queen comes out. Let's go knight to b6. Obviously it can't take my knight because that would, I was gonna say that would give it too much of an advantage and it wants to be close to 0-0, but it does offer up the bishop. So I guess I could take, and then the rook would just take my knight and then we're still even. Okay, I can get behind that. Let's go knight to e5 next. Again, it shouldn't be able to take. King comes out to play knight to d7. This bishop is trapped. And again, it still doesn't want to take my knight because it would have too much of an advantage. It wants the game to be a draw. I guess I could take the rook, but I'd rather take the bishop because again, I want the high value pieces to be left on the board. What on earth is king to d6? Wow, is it actually closer to 0-0 to just move the king out of the way? I guess that does make sense. The knight is completely trapped at the moment. It's not like I could save it even if I wanted to. Literally everything is covered and it's currently attacked by 2 rooks, which in my opinion is a little overkill, but that knight is, I guess, still toast, which is pretty amusing. Let's target this queen next. Pawn comes up to e5, we'll give a check. By creating this other threat, I've managed to keep the knight on the board, but I guess that really shouldn't be my primary concern. Okay, let's shuffle the queen out. I'll allow it to capture the knight. Wow, it still doesn't want to capture the knight. Oh, that's probably because, okay, that actually makes some good sense. It's probably because my king is really, really exposed, so if it does capture the knight, it thinks it has too much advantage, and it's preferring to keep the knight on the board because, again, it's going to evaluate the position, or rather, it's going to evaluate which moves keep the position closest to 0.00. So it probably thinks if it takes the knight, I'm positionally just terrible in this particular position, so it's not wanting to take my knight. Next, I have to find a way to trap this queen, or at least compromise her severely. Let's start breaking open the center of the board. Pawn comes up to e4. I can slide the queen back to d2. Again, she's not actually in danger of being captured. Queen slides back. Let's take on d5 next. Pawn does take back. I'm just gonna bring my pieces towards the center of the board. Okay, it does finally recapture, probably because the king being in the middle is enough of a concern at this point. Let's go queen to d4. Rook shuffles over, we'll play check. King goes up. Okay, how do I actually win this queen? I need her to be somewhere where she's hanging. Let's just make some waiting moves. Rook shuffles over. Okay, check, we'll move the king back. Maybe just check again. King slides back once more. Not really sure what to do here. I guess I could take on d5. King slides over, we'll take on e4, because why not? Queen shuffles over. Okay, let's play check. And then let's compromise the queen's position with rook to e1, and then also get rid of the idea of a rook trade, because that's not really my goal. My goal here is to put the king in a compromised position. Okay, but it slides back to g8. Wow, I'm having a hard time even getting to step 2. I still have to get an advantage somehow. I guess what I need to do is find a way to threaten checkmate. Scratch that. Okay, let's play something ridiculous that puts the queen in like a super dangerous position, and then maybe I can give some sort of crazy check, where if it refuses to take, there's rook to e7. What I'm kind of thinking is rook check, rook takes, I take the queen. And the reason that I think the engine would accept this is because I would gain a queen, but it would gain a rook, whereas if I play check and it moves out of the way, I can take the queen, rook takes, I win a rook completely, which I don't think is better for the engine. So let's play check. Okay, it does advance the king. I did not expect that. Okay, what happens if I take? Is it just going to take my queen and then allow me to take here? That's kind of frustrating. Let's try it out on for size. Okay, it does in fact take my queen and then allows me to take this rook. That's really amusing. Queen slides over. I should probably connect the rooks sooner rather than later. And then eventually I have to find a way to put it in a super sketchy position. Let's go king to g1. Queen slides over. I was kind of hoping it would take so I could play check. King slides over, I take the queen. Of course, I think the king wouldn't take because it would give the bot too much advantage. Let's connect the rooks for a second. Queen goes back with check, we'll advance. This is so like counterintuitive and hard to play. Oh, it's just putting me in check a million times. Oh, don't look for repetition, that would be so lame. Okay, we get pawn to h6. This is probably our final few chances before it's just going to threefold us. Let's take on g7. King slides over. Is there any way I can force the king out? Can I just follow him around with a whole bunch of checks and force him to come out to play? That would be pretty amusing. Can I go here? I sort of pseudo ladders made it. Oh, it escapes to h5. Okay, I was gonna pseudo ladder made it all the way to the d file and then take the queen, but no such luck. King goes back to h5. If I take on h6, it has to recapture. But if it recaptures, then maybe it has to give me a free queen. Let me do this, because it doesn't have that much material to work with anyways. So maybe if I just play a really dumb move, it has to give me some free stuff. Okay, queen to d6 is not exactly free stuff, but maybe I can play rook to g6 check. Okay, this is the crux right here. If I play check, will I have too much of an advantage if I take this queen versus if it just takes me? I don't know. I'm gonna try for this check. Oh, nice! Okay, please do not trade off the pawn. We take the queen. Okay, it does trade off the pawn, but I can stop it, right? Can I go here? What do I do? Let's go here. This is critical right now. Oh, it advances the pawn. Don't do that. Oh, that was our oh, is it our last chance? Okay, let me stop the pawn first. Next, what I need to do, oh goodness, this is so critical. Okay, next what I need to do, we've accomplished step 1. We have an enormous advantage, and the sort of sub part of step 1 that I didn't really mention is the fact that it does need to have at least one piece on the board. We've managed to stop the pawn, and now what we need to do is we need to get the king in a position, or rather get DrawFish in a position where the king is on d3, the king is on d1, and then eventually the king will have no moves that it can make. We'll just trap it with like a bunch of promoted queens, and then I'll move the rook over, the pawn will take, promotion checkmate. I think that is the ultimate goal. So let's push this pawn. It should theoretically, I think, try to stop me, but it can't anymore because now it's outside of the box. So this pawn is good to promote. Those arrows were terrible, but some things just never change. Okay, let's promote this to a queen. Also, as you can see, we do have under promotion on the website now. I still need to create the PNGs for those of you that want to do game review, either on chess.com or Lee Chess or Winter Chess. Shout out Wilson for his website, where you can get free game review basically. And then I also need to add pre-moves because I think it would be abysmal if a bullet player like myself didn't have pre-moves on his own website. Okay, we've now anchored the rook. We'll push this down to promote another pawn. I just have to make sure I don't stalemate it by accident. That would be absolutely hilarious. Okay, push, and it always has d4. Okay, I'm not sure how many queens I actually need for this. The king eventually needs to be on d3, so I need at least one queen covering this rank. We'll go ahead and start adjusting the king right now, I think. Or, ooh, you know what? Maybe what I should do is I should bring the king over and position my king right away. Okay, we'll give check, force it back out to b3. Great, we'll shuffle my own king over, and then king over here. and then I need to basically anchor this rook on b1. So I'm gonna slide, or let's position this king first. Let's go check. King comes down, he's right where he needs to be. We'll move the queen down to g8. Basically what we have now is a fence set up on the 4th rank, and then I'm gonna slide this queen down to a2 so this rook is never free. Although I guess if the king can't get into this part of the board, then this rook will never be free anyways, so that's not actually a concern. Let's advance this pawn. It's gonna come over and try and take this pawn. I think with 3 queens though, we should have plenty to trap the king exactly where we want him. There shouldn't be that many different axes that we need to control. King slides over, let's go check. We need to force that king back up. Queen to h2 does exactly that. King can only move to e3 now. Okay, now what's the actual gameplay here? We slide over, and then it still has d3 and f3. Okay, let's keep track of exactly where it can move. It has these 3 possible squares to move to. Outside of these 3 squares, it has nowhere to go. So I can slide this queen over to g2 and make it so that it only has 2 squares to move to, here and here. So now, oh, I think we did it. Okay, wait, now I just play check. The king slides over, rook to a1. Oh, you son of a gun. I just realized what it could do. Oh, what to do. I was gonna say, I just realized it could promote directly instead of capturing the rook. If it captures the rook and promotes, and it can under promote. How did I not think of any of this? Wow, this is the craziest plot twist of all time. Okay. Oh, darn it. I thought I was so close. Because I can't actually force it to promote to a queen. I could before, because there was auto promotion to a queen. Oh, but now it can under promote. I didn't even think about that. Okay, well, we'll play the move that I was going to play, which is check, forces the king to d3. We slide the rook over so it's free. Oh my goodness, it doesn't even under promote, it promoted to a queen. Because what it's thinking is if I take, there's checkmate in a couple more moves, because it does have king to c3, king d4 at that point, but if I take with the rook, it's stalemate. And with that, we fail the challenge. There's just nothing I can do here. I have to take the queen. I'm not going to take with my queen, because then that wouldn't get us any closer to losing. If I take with the rook, then it's just a stalemate. I mean, I feel like on principle, I have to give it to the engine. It figured me out perfectly well there. It does its job extremely well. With that, we do not manage to lose against DrawFish. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you to the thousands of you that have now played this bot and the many other bots that we have on the website. Again, if you want to play this bot yourself, go to iwantcheckmate.com, try them out, let me know how it goes. Also, if any of you guys are capable of doing this, please message me on Instagram. That's also down below. Send me a screen recording of how you managed to do it, because I'm frankly and apparently not capable. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down below if you have any other freaky ideas for variant bots that we should add to the website and play on the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.